Well, hi there and welcome to the MPI Global Leadership Training video series. This is episode Board 101. My name is Judy Holler and I'm thrilled to be the moderator here today, and I'm also thrilled to be a proud member and board member of the MPI Chicago area chapter. So you're probably wondering who these fabulous women are on the call with me, but I'm going to get to that in just a momento. Hang tight, because I want to tell you, congrats on becoming a leader and, more importantly, a board member. You have just made an incredible choice, and let me tell you, it is one that can and will change your life. It is all how you work it. And today, that's what we're here to do. We're here to set you up for success and to help you rock being on the board. So let's see who's on the call. I think it's time to introduce my distinguished panelists, starting with Chapter Business Manager Lead for MPI Global, Miss Holly Dodson. Hi, Holly Dodson.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Judy.
Great. Second up, we've got Miss Beth Chitness, who is currently Association Director for Meeting Expectations, and she was also the Executive Director for the MPI Chicago chapter for just over 6 years. So hi, Beth.
Hi, everybody.
Great. And last but certainly not least, we've got Renee Radabab, who is President and Executive Director with Paragon Events. And this means that she serves several chapters as chapter administrator. So she's got a lot of knowledge with a lot of different chapters. So hi, Renee, and welcome to the call.
Good morning.
Great. So to get you guys started, we're going to have some fun on this video, A. And B, I want to run you through kind of an overview of what we're going to talk about today. But I got to tell you, what's so great about these online videos is it means they're on demand. And what does it mean? It means that these videos are there when you want them and when you need them. So don't freak out. Take your time. I encourage you to take notes. I encourage you to write a list of questions and then take those cues back to your chapter business manager or your leadership within your chapter to get anything clarified you're confused on. But take your time. Go at your own pace. You can pause it. You can watch it 10 times, because I can guarantee it's going to be that fun. You're going to want to come back and watch again and again. But just the point here is, it's here for you on demand when you need it. So we're excited to get started. So kind of here's what you can look forward to. We're going to talk about what does a great board look like, first of all. And we're going to talk about general board responsibilities. We're also going to get into some legal stuff, talk about some of the legal responsibilities. We're going to talk about how a board functions. We're going to dig into MPI and all the different chapters and how they work together. We're going to talk about your resources, and then we're going to talk about being a good leader and what does that mean. So this is going to be a jam-packed session that's going to give you all kinds of good information. So I think we should get this party started. So Holly, we're going to start with you. I'd love to know, you have a lot of experience with all the different chapters, and I'd love to know what are some of the things that great boards have in common.
Sure. Well, from my experience, and I've been doing this for about 5 years as a chapter business manager, and then previously about 8 years as a chapter leader. And through my training, what I've really recognized when you're looking at a team that's really successful, and it's a good board of directors, you're really looking at a team that's full of servant leaders. They are people who really want to be there. They're not there because they're resume seeking or want recognition for something. They're there because they want to serve the membership. They want to grow. They want to develop. They want to see how they can make something better. So they're really there to serve and to learn and grow is really one of the biggest things I think is you need to have. They also understand that they're trust holders of the membership, that it's a responsibility that they've came to the board, and they have to really look at how they manage that membership's funds, their needs, and all the events and things that they put on for that membership. So they really get that. They are working for that common good. They understand that it has nothing to do with about them or their personal businesses, but about the common good of the membership. But I think my favorite thing is that they're willing to assess themselves. So no matter how good they are or how great their year was, they're always willing to sit back and say, you know what, we did great and let's pat ourselves on the back, but hey, what can we do better? How can we grow, develop, and make this even better for our membership down the road? And I think that's really important because, we sometimes get caught up in what we're doing and we never really stop to say, how did it look? How did it work for the membership? And how do we improve on it moving forward? They're also very willing to look at their fiduciary responsibilities. And what I mean by fiduciary responsibilities, it's that time, treasure, and talent, and how they're bringing that to the table. So by time, I mean they come to the board meetings, the committee meetings, the membership engagement opportunities, and they're prepared. They're ready to engage with the membership and their peers to do the business that's at hand. They're not just looking at it from a perspective of, I'm too busy in my job today, so I can't be there. No, these are people who are like, yes, I have a job to do, but I made this commitment, so let me show up. And so that's really important when you serve on a board of directors. The other part was a treasurer. So in treasurer, we mean they understand that they believe in the membership still. And so they still want to be a part of giving to that membership and that organization. They're not looking at this from a perspective of, I'm going to serve on the board of directors, so I come to all my events free. No, they see the value in the events. They see the value in investing in that education and that time. So they're bringing that treasure to the table. They also bring their talents. What are their specific gifts? What can they do to help make this membership grow and be more successful and more engaged? So they bring all that talent to the table. They don't hold back. They want to see things change. And then I think lastly, I would say probably integrity. These are a group of people that have high integrity. They're always going to do what's right. They're always concerned about doing the thing that's going to make sure our business is successful. So integrity is a huge part of being a good board of directors. And lastly, I would say they understand what it means to serve and that it's an honor to serve. This is a huge opportunity that's been laid in front of each and every one of you, and I'm super excited for you because not only is it a responsibility, but it is a great honor. Your peers, your community has said you're the person to sit at this table today, and they're putting a lot of trust on you. So recognizing that they believe in you and they're trusting you with this opportunity. So really sitting at that table and giving it all that you have.
That's great, Holly. Great insight. Renee, I'd love to hear from you. What would you add to that?
Holly always says it so well that she leaves very little for the rest of us, but I think that they understand what matters most for the organization. It's the vision, it's the mission, it's the values. So the vision, where are you going? You structure a long-term plan and a way to get there. And then identify with the keywords that sort of tie to the vision, which is elevate, evolve, build, and reimagine. If everything they do with regard to the vision ties into those keywords, they stay on track. It's the mission. It's why do you exist? Understand and make sure you're able to convey the mission of the organization. And remember who you support and why. You are always there for the betterment of the members. And value. What guides you? What guides you through this process of being a board member? Understand and believe in what you're doing and why you're doing it. And the board as a whole and your members are the reason for you being there. And then board members, as Holly said, are very proud to be a board member, and they're proud of who they are and what they provide. They know and understand the policies and procedures and have a clear understanding of how to use them. They visit and review them often. The policies and procedures are such a great guideline for you, and throughout your tenure, if you go back and look at them and value them and sometimes identify that it's time for change, but know them and use them, and it'll often keep you on track for making the right decisions. Set clear expectations and be accountable to the expectations that you set. Hold your board members accountable. And you yourself as a board member are accountable, and everybody follows the same set of rules. So board members recognize that procedures are important and important to follow, and the expectations that you set are clear. Understand that it's a serious commitment. They know it's a responsibility, and they do not take it lightly. And in the end, the personal success of the individuals and the board members as a whole are measured in how much they've grown and how much they've learned, taught, and shared with others. And remember that a board member is selfless.
Great. Thank you so much, Renee. And now, Beth, I want to hear from you. Tell us, what does serving on a board of directors really look like?
Absolutely. And as Holly and Renee have said, first and foremost, it's an honor to serve on a board of directors. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. There are a few key things that board members are ultimately responsible for. The first is advancing the mission and vision of the chapter. And for us, it's advancing the mission and vision of MPI. And what does MPI mean? And what does that mean at the local chapter level as well? With that, the responsibilities are enhancing the image of your chapter and promoting your organization as a board member. Board members are responsible for managing and protecting the organization's resources. And with resources, it's not just the money, not just the finances, but your volunteers, your staff, and the time. Manage all of those resources for the organization. There's always going to be that fiscal responsibility. Every single board member, not just your VP of finance or those that look at the budget, are required to look at the budget, but everybody's required to look at it. You're all responsible for the financial responsibility of the organization. Board members have to disclose conflicts of interest for the board to decide the best course of action. So if, as a board member, you think there could be a potential conflict, make sure you disclose it, discuss that. For sensitive board discussions, you're required to maintain that confidentiality of the board decisions and the board discussions for those that require it. Board members are responsible for determining the programs and services that the chapter is going to offer and then monitoring it. Sometimes you are going to need to make tough decisions that are best for the organization. And as a board member, you have to be prepared for having those difficult conversations and making those difficult decisions. And along with monitoring the programs and services that are offered, you have to assess the performance of your management and your volunteers, making sure that everybody is on board, heading in the right direction, heading in the same direction, and are in it for the right reasons. And finally, and perhaps the most important, you have to be informed, you have to be engaged, and you have to be present. Be proud that you've been seen as a valuable addition to the chapter leadership and have been selected to serve. So make sure that you show up and that you're engaged in those conversations.
I love it. You just buttoned it up really nicely, Beth. Well done. And so, Renee, I'm going to bring it back to you since we're on the subject of board of directors. What does a general board of directors structure look like? How is it set up?
So the boards are very dynamic. So there are many different roles that boards might establish. Some have VPs of sponsorship, others have VPs of strategic development. But I think that all boards are equal in many ways, in that you need your president-elect, your VPs, your directors, and your committee members. And for us, I think it's particularly important that when you recognize that president-elect and that president role, that you have the presidential trio, and we are constantly speaking about that and the importance of the presidential trio. It's your archive, your past, it's your present, what you're doing now, and it's your future, it's your strategic plan. And as you delve into this, you're going to recognize that MPI's goal for you is to have a 5-year plan. So the way you do that is by identifying your leaders throughout, so that your president-elect is probably one of your more important roles as you develop and dig in. So your VPs, are there as well. So again, take the three, the presidential trio, and they weigh and measure the tenure of success. The past, what did they do and what could they do better? What were their successes? What were their opportunities? The present, where are we going in the future? What's on the horizon? Then you have your VPs, and your VPs serve as your visionaries and your strategists. So it's very important, and we'll come back to this one more time, but they take your goals, your calendar, your projections, and they are the vision. So they turn around and they develop a strategy, they develop a vision, and they develop an execution plan. Keyword here, develop. Next comes your directors. They manage. They are your managers. They take the vision and the strategy, and they are the ones to disseminate the plan. Then there's the committees. The committees are the people who extend the work to your members. These are your volunteers, the people that execute on the plan that's been developed throughout the process. They, too, remember, are the pipeline for your future leaders. So when you're building your membership, your committee members are so important in developing your directors and your VPs. So again, going back to that very quickly, your presidential trio, cannot tell you how important we feel that hub is in this. Then your VPs, again, they're visionaries and strategists. They're not doers. Your directors or your managers, they're managing the plan that's being put together, and your committee are all your people who are executing into the membership. So I think that's very important in the plan.
Yeah, I agree, Renee, and I love how you kind of took the time to repeat and reiterate the importance of the chain of command, because I think so many times, we, as leaders, we become leaders because we're doers, and we're worker bees, and we're hustlers, right? So when we get into these big strategic roles, we want to do, and we want to hustle, and we want to work, and we have to be big picture, and we have to let others lead. We have to pass the torch. So I really love that you dug into that. And for you watching this video, I hope that resonated with you. So watch your board and watch how they lead and manage, and make sure you're kind of following and understanding that hierarchy. And I think it's going to prove to be very beneficial for you if you do. So I want to stay on this board topic because I'm kind of loving it before we move on. So Beth, I'm going to come back to you. So I'd love to hear from you what you think some of the key characteristics are, or key components are, to a really strong and active board.
Absolutely. A strong board recognizes that governance, it's a team sport. There is no room for individual agendas when working together as a board. And there's no individual authority as board members. A strong board is going to work together. All the authority belongs to that board as a whole when they're acting together as one group. You need to be cautious if the president or one individual or one leader on that team is making all of the decisions for the chapter. It's your responsibility as a board member to be part of those board decisions and to make sure that it is a group decision. Remember that for a strong board, there's no speaking on behalf of the organization without authorization, and to speak with one voice. Every board member needs to speak with one voice. And most importantly, the board members need to deal with issues that are affecting the whole organization. Don't get caught up in the weeds or something that's going to impact an individual member or a group of members. Make sure that the board is heading in a direction that's going to be bettering the entire organization.
Yeah, great. Good stuff there, Beth. And I think it's time to maybe take it to a different level and flip the coin a little bit and talk some legal stuff. And I know this may make folks nervous, but we do have a legal responsibility to MPI Global. And as a board of director, it's critical we understand legally what it means to serve on a board. So Holly, chapter business manager, MPI Global, I'm going to bring you in here and talk to us a little bit about what it legally means to serve on a board.
Sure. There is a lot of responsibility to serving on a board of directors. And it's not something that I would want you to be nervous about or scared about by any means, but it is important to understand what it looks like, as Judy said, because you don't want to get yourself in a challenging situation. So knowing what it needs to keep minutes and how those can affect you down the road, little things like that are important. And really, I'm going to toss it back to Beth, because I think Beth is the queen of the legal side of it. She's had all that kind of training. And so she really could probably answer this one better than I could, Judy. So Beth, what would you offer as advice to the chapter leaders?
Well, as Holly and Judy mentioned, don't be scared about the legal responsibilities, but you do need to be aware that there are legal responsibilities for serving on the board. And don't tune out here. I'm not going to get into too much legalese, but there are 3 main legal duties for board service. So I'm going to try to go through these, but keep it pretty easy to understand. The first one is duty of care, and that attaches to you as the individual, attaches to you personally. It requires board members to use good judgment when making decisions on behalf of the organization. As an individual, you're required to protect that confidential information, and you're responsible to the entire membership. Make sure that you're making informed and independent judgment decisions. You need to go in with an opinion and make sure that you're not just following along with the rest of the group, but that you really are engaged as an individual. And remember that with this one, this duty of care that attaches to you individually extends beyond your board service. So even after your term has ended on the board, you still have this responsibility to the board for the decisions that you helped make during your term of service on the board. The second duty is attached to the situation. It's the duty of loyalty. And this is the responsibility of the board members to do what is in the best interest of the organization, regardless of its impact on other things to which you are loyal. So with this one, it really talks about that conflict of interest. This duty helps constrain a board member from participating in board discussions when they have a conflict. It's your responsibility to disclose those to the board. Now, the key here is it's not to avoid conflicts, but to make sure that the board is aware of them and to disclose them. The board can then best decide what that best course of action is. It could be to determine, is there even a conflict? It could be asking that board member to be excused from the discussion or a vote for whatever that topic of conversation is. And in rare and extreme cases, it might be to have that individual choose to resign from the board if there really is a conflict for you to continue to serve in that position. But that's what this duty, the duty of loyalty really covers. The third one and the last one is the duty of obedience. And this applies to the group as a whole, making sure that you're engaging in open dialogue and participating. You have a seat at that board table. It's your obligation to the board and to the membership to speak up. And the topic that I love the most about the duty of obedience and looking at that group as a whole is making sure that the board is speaking with one voice, as a unified front. It's okay to have debate and to go into a conversation and not necessarily vote in favor of the direction that the board is going in, but once that decision is made, it's the board's decision. And as a board member, you're responsible for supporting the overall board and speaking with one voice at the end of that conversation. Don't speak poorly about decisions. It's okay to disagree, but at the end, you need to be supportive of the decision that the board has made, and ultimately be respectful. Be respectful to your other board members, to the board as a whole, and to the overall organization.
Great. Thank you so much, Beth. And Holly, I think it's at this time I want to come back to you, and I want to talk a little bit about how would someone know what their guidelines are for making decisions in a board environment?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I think it's one that really concerns most new board members and even board members who've been seeing them for several years. This one kind of trips people up all the time. And I think it's really good to understand the hierarchy of what policies you follow. And so really, it does start with your national and local laws. So wherever you're at, if you have laws that pertain to certain things you're doing, for example, like an email vote, you're going to really want to focus on what those national and local laws say you have to do, more so than what MPI's bylaw policy says. So you're going to look at that first. Next in line would always be your articles of incorporation, because that's something that you have to manage at that local level. Then that's when you get into your bylaws. Bylaws, you as a chapter will have chapter minimum bylaws that MPI Global provides you, and in some areas you may have added to them or made adjustments to them. That's okay as long as you've gotten permission from MPI Global. But so that would be really your next line, and that's kind of the one you're going to look at the most. That really is your contract with your members. That's your way of saying, hey, this is what we agree to do to show you how much we're going to manage this business in a way that we're protecting you and we're looking out for you, the membership. So your bylaws are going to guide really a lot of what you do in the everyday business. And then it gets to your policies and procedures. And that's really your contract with yourself. Your policies and procedures are what tell you how you can do every little step of your everyday business. And so it's really important that you as a board member take ownership of those things. We may not expect you to know all your national and local laws. That's where your chapter administrators and executive directors really can help you. But at the end of the day, your bylaws and your policies and procedures, you really should own and know and live by them. It's also your responsibility to hold your fellow board accountable to them. So speaking at the table when it appears that maybe we might be going against one of our own policies, and it could be the president who's recommending it. Well, we're all busy. We're all volunteers. We could easily forget a policy. So it's important that each and every one of us hold our team accountable to those bylaws and policies. They're really what's going to keep you out of that trouble, where you're going to get into conflicts and emotional debates and things of that nature. Those policies and bylaws are going to protect you from those kinds of things. So really use them and feel confident about them. I think it was you, Judy, earlier who might have mentioned keeping them updated. It was Renee. Keep those policies updated. Look at them annually. Make sure they still make sense for your business, where you're going, what you're doing. If they get outdated, they're not really going to be helpful to you. So it's important that you as a board of directors keep them updated. But really, when in doubt, you want to vote. If you're not sure if you're allowed to do something or not, just put it to the table. Allow the board to discuss it and vote on it. That's just the best practice. You may not have had to vote on it legally, but it's protected. There's nothing wrong with voting on the offender. So please do that. Obviously, some key things are budget issues. Anything that's outside of the budget you've already approved and agreed to, you would need to vote on. You can't make any decisions outside of your budget without the board's approval. Anything outside of your business plan that you as a team already agreed on and voted on, you might, you can't just start a new project that wasn't already in the plan for the chapter. So those kinds of things. These are really the big picture items that you want to focus on. Anything that involves changing the structure of your team, you would want to take to the board for a vote. So those are just a couple of the really big ones. But again, your bylaws and policies are kind of really going to dictate that for you. And I think there's just one other thing I would like to say on this. You are a nonprofit status, but that's what it is. It is a status. You are simply given this tax credit by being nonprofit, but it is your way of doing business. You really are there to earn profit and to make money, to reinvest back in your membership. So it's important to know that in everything that you do. There's nothing wrong with making profit. It's something to grow and aspire to do.
Great. Thanks so much, Holly. And Renee, I'd love to kick it over to you and find out what are the main responsibilities of board service?
So, of course, it varies from chapter to chapter, but I think that some high level are, as Beth mentioned earlier, attend the board meetings and be present. By that, it means be fully engaged. You're not a seat holder during the commercial. You are a person that's there for a reason. So be fully engaged, be part of the process, be present, be prepared for every board meeting, read your minutes, challenge your fellow board members, engage in the conversation, take the time to review what's on the docket and what's important to your members at large, and bring it to the board and have the conversation. Board meetings are always better face to face and in person, but it's not always not always the way, but whenever possible, your engagement is better. You offer a better engaged conversation. But if not, make sure you consider alternative options for those who may not be able to be present. And there's so many now that are available, from GoTo meetings to conference calls to e-votes. So now in this time of technology, while the face-to-face is the number one preference, keep in mind that there are other options. Use your Robert's Rules of Order. As Beth pointed out earlier, don't be afraid of them. Parliamentary procedure is not, the big bad wolf. So if you turn around and look at the top 10, you can pull up your Robert's Rules of Orders and look for top 10. You're not expected to know the whole thing, but understand what your consent agendas are. Read the previous month's minutes and be familiar with it and be part of the process. Complete your board reports and send them in on time. That's really you showing respect for the other board members. Don't just copy and paste. Don't do it at 4:20 on Thursday afternoon when it has to be submitted at 5 o'clock. Take the time to work on it and provide vital information that people are going to read and learn about what you're doing in your area. Take your committee information and funnel it up from your directors into your VPs so that they can communicate to the board what's going on in your committee. And make sure it's a robust document. It doesn't have to be pages, but make sure it's well informed so that you share that information with your board. Your budget, know and work within your budget. It's very important that you understand your piece of it. You don't have to understand the complete inner workings. Most people in this industry are not financial people. We do understand a budget, though. We do have to balance our budget, and we do know when we have to cut. So if you know your little piece of the budget and you can make recommendations when it's time to cut to help other people, or make recommendations on ways that you can increase money to create a better spend or a bigger bang for the buck in your budget. Those are very important. But it's a living, breathing document and should be treated that way. Don't look at it every 6 months. Look at it every month and understand what you have to spend money on and what's best in the areas for you to spend it. And then be familiar with sponsorship and marketing and education and your membership resources. Remember, it's all for one and one for all. Be a team. Your sponsorship chair or your VP of sponsorships should not carry that sponsorship all on his or her shoulders. Everybody should be working together. The education chair, you should be providing feedback. If you see someone out there that you think is a really good speaker or might contribute to your chapter, or that you can contribute, again, remember that the board is one, the team is many. And if everybody works together and remembers that the VPs build, the directors manage, and the committee executes. If you keep that in mind, then it doesn't feel like such a burden on one individual.
Absolutely a great way to sum that up. Thanks so much, Renee. And Holly, I kind of want to hear from you a little bit about Global, MPI Global, and how are our chapters connected to MPI Global?
Sure. I think this is really important. Understanding that partnership really will help you be successful in your business. And realizing that we, although we're separate, we're not. We are one. We are one big organization, meeting the needs of our members and wanting to take care of each other. So MPI Global, for those of you who don't know, we are based in Dallas, Texas, and that is kind of the big hub where the staff sits. And then you have your international board of directors that kind of governs over the staff. But with chapters, what happened is chapters are this individual group at the local level that have decided they really want to have a local community of MPI. They, something that they can meet and gather on a regular basis. And so they met with MPI Global and decided to have a chapter. And to have a chapter and have the opportunity to work under the MPI brand and name, you agree to certain chapter charter requirements. And it's important to understand that chapter charter because that's how you understand what you are allowed to do and not allowed to do at the chapter level. So, within that chapter, your founding members made some agreements with MPI Global, and so these are agreements that you're adhering to now, and they're very simple. It's not a lot of detail. It's easy to remember, and your chapter business manager is probably going to come to your chapter retreat and go over these in more detail. But it's simply things like having your 6th educational meeting, that minimum every year, meeting the MPI brand standards, meeting the satisfaction and the needs of your membership, maintaining a board of directors, and having good financial management. So these are just some of the key things that you're required to do to have a chapter charter with MPI Global. Although you are individually incorporated and it is your own business operated and managed by this local board of directors, because you are connected to MPI Global and you have this chapter charter, you've been assigned a CBM or a chapter business manager. And so many of you have never met that person yet or may not know what that role is. And so, for instance, I am a chapter business manager. There's about 5 of us, and we have several chapters assigned to us. And it's our job to come and visit you in the key times that you're building your business plan, your budget, and you're going through these planning cycles. So you're going to see us at your chapter retreats most often, major conferences, major events that you may be hosting. And it's our job to kind of serve as a liaison for you between the chapter and global to help you understand what initiatives global may be coming up with, and they need your assistance and promoting, but also to be a resource back from the chapter to global. What are some needs that the chapter has at that local level, and how can we better support them and build resources and tools like these training videos that you're watching today. So we kind of sit in that middle place. So I work for MPI Global, but I also work for you, the chapter. So I am your partner, your advocate, your resource at that local level. And so you should feel free to reach out and contact your chapter business manager at any time. And your president can share with you who your chapter business manager is. Obviously, by now, if you've received this video link, they've already reached out to you. But they're there for you. I encourage you to reach out to them on a regular basis, understand how you can interact with them. Part of their job, though, with your chapter is to evaluate how you're meeting those chapter charter requirements and to assist you in achieving them and successfully achieving them. So they'll work and partner with you on how you do build that business plan. Make sure the business plan that's going to really move the bar for you on your budget, making sure you're doing what you need to do with the budget. You're staying ethical. You're staying in an area that you're not going to get yourself in any danger, because we know you're volunteers and you have a limited amount of time. You have, let's be honest, you have another full-time job probably. You may have family, church, other activities. So we may be way down on the list of priorities. Although we think we're phenomenal, we know you have a million things going on outside of MPI. So we're really there to help make sure you, the volunteers, stay on track and you're successful. So we're going to evaluate those things. We're going to look at those things and help you achieve what you want to achieve in the year.
Great. Thanks so much, Holly. And I want to stay with you just for another minute or two here. Where can a new board member go to really find resources to help them develop skills?
Absolutely. So, obviously your CBM is a great resource. And, as I mentioned earlier, definitely call upon them, use them. But we have an area that you as a chapter leader are now going to have access to. That act is going to start on April 15th. And so basically you're going to be able to get into the special resource area under the MPI Global website that is only for chapter leaders. So your access, your chapter business manager or your local board can show you how to access this. But basically it is a page housed within the MPI Global website that is specifically for you, and it has all kinds of resources and tools embedded in it. So when you look at this page, you're going to see it categorized by departments, so education, membership, sponsorship, so on. You can go into each of those tabs and find tools and tips and best practices for how you can do the job that you have in front of you. It's really important that you don't recreate the wheel. if you've gone to your chapter leaders resource area and you've looked under your tab and you've looked under additional resources and you don't see what you need, then pick up that phone and call your chapter business manager. Call me and say, hey, here's what I've got. Here's what I need. I don't see it. And we're going to help you. We're going to say, you know what? Let me go to your other chapter leaders or your other chapter administrators out in the field and see if we can find it for you. If we can't find it for you, then we're probably going to come back to you and say, you know what? It's not there yet. So we are going to create a wheel, and let's kind of work together to create it and then have you submit to chapter leaders resource area for future people who come up behind you so they don't have to do it. So that's really a good place to start. Within that chapter leaders resource area, there is a tab of best practices. And best practices is really where all various chapters globally can submit things that they do at the local level in various categories, and that they do well and has been hugely successful for them. So go there too and look. So if you're in membership or education, you have a new initiative, go look at those best practices. See what chapters before you have gone and done. That might support you. I mentioned earlier familiarizing yourself with the bylaws and the policies. Believe it or not, that is a resource. It is going to help you be successful. It's a tool for you to be successful. So please really know them and use them. Robert's Rules of Order were mentioned earlier. Again, that is a tool for you. So it's really important just to, as Renee said, just Google the top 10 things you need to know about Robert's Rules of Order and kind of familiarize yourself with that. It really is going to make sitting at that board table less intimidating. So that is a wonderful tool. And then there will be people at Global, depending on the role that you serve in. You may have, in membership, you have a member engagement representative that's assigned to you that might help you with membership questions. There may be an engagement team on the education side that can answer questions about speaker contracts. We have a gentleman in our marketing department that will help you with marketing resources or questions about social media if needed. And we even have somebody who will review logos for you. So you have a staff at Global that is also a resource and a tool for you. And again, your chapter business manager can connect you. And I think lastly, and probably the most important in my opinion, Judy, would be that you guys know that you have a group of peers globally who are out there doing exactly what you do. So your CBM can provide you with a list, whether it's a list of all of the membership teams, directors and VPs, or all of the presidents across the globe, depending on the role. And then you can reach out to them and start communicating. Ask them how they're managing or how they're dealing with this particular type of conflict, and use them as a resource. Support each other in this effort to be successful, because this really is a great opportunity to serve on the board.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Holly. And it is true. Safety in numbers. We are never alone, and we are surrounded by all kinds of wicked smart people. So use the people that you have around you. And I want to kind of close this by talking to Beth and having her, Beth, if you wouldn't mind talking to us a little bit about what a good leader looks like. I love the topic of leadership, and I'd love to hear from you on what you think the key areas are there.
Yeah, absolutely. The best leaders are going to be highly engaged, inclusive, caring, and influential. They'll have a vision and are focused on moving the association in that direction. They're not afraid to ask questions. They're going to be asking the why, the what, the who, the how, and challenge the status quo, making sure that it doesn't always have to be done the way it was always done. They're continually looking to improve the organization, and the goals, they're going to be focused on innovation and really moving the association in that next direction. They're not afraid to deal with conflict. Don't be scared of those difficult conversations. Remember, this is a business. Personal agendas have to be left at the door, and treat this, this is an association. It's a business first. And Judy, I'm gonna borrow something that you constantly say. People follow people. If you have strong leaders on your board and in your leadership roles, people are going to want to become engaged. Those strong leaders will attract more strong leaders. So the stronger your board is, the greater the success will be of your organization moving forward.
I love that. Yes, yes, it is. It really is all about the people. And as a board of directors, we have to remember it's all about our members. We are a membership-based organization, and without our members being happy and being engaged and being successful and getting their ROI, we're really at a loss. So it is all about the people, and it's all about taking care of our members. So well said, Beth. Thank you to everybody on this call today. It's been really informative, and I'll be honest with you, we could probably sit here and dish for another 25 minutes, but we can't. So a couple follow-up items. If you're not yet registered, I don't think registration's open for the WEC this summer in Minneapolis. Get your butt there. There is great opportunity to learn, to network, to grow, and to meet all of these great people we are talking about. And also, some chapters, every chapter gives some board members, based on the year and what their role is, the opportunity to attend the Chapter Business Summit put on by MPI Global, which is typically in the fall. So look forward to attending that someday, if not this year, in the future as you grow your board career within the organization. If you want to talk about a deep dive and a really great place to connect and grow and learn what it means to serve on this board and what it means to serve MPI, you're going to love the Chapter Business Summit. So hopefully we'll see you either this summer at the WEC or this fall at the CBS. We love our acronyms. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and go out there, have fun, take a lot of risks, and just continue to learn and use the people around you to go be awesome. So Holly, I'd love to have you just button us up, and if there's any last words you'd like to say, that would be awesome.
Sure. Thanks, Judy. Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you to each of you for stepping up to the plate and taking this opportunity and joining the board of directors at your local chapter. You really are probably not going to realize it until your time is done, but you're going to learn so much from this opportunity. You're going to grow professionally and personally. It's amazing when I can look back at the years of my service and then all the peers that I've had a chance to work with over the past 5 years. And that's always the conversation, after a year or two in is, my goodness, I cannot believe what this has done for me professionally and personally. My career path has changed. I've grown. I've learned the things I never thought I would learn. I never would have had the opportunity to learn at my local job. So use this time wisely. These are going to be lasting friendships. You're going to take them with you the rest of your life, and they're going to be global friendships. You're going to meet people from all over the world. So this is such an opportunity. So I encourage you not to waste it. Be all in, be engaged, be passionate, stay enthusiastic, and just get and soak as much of this up as you can while still giving all you've got to your local membership. And you find it's going to be very rewarding and something that you're going to always look back and say, I'm so glad I did that and spent that time there. So congratulations to each of you. I can't wait to meet all of you. Some of you I'll meet face to face at your retreats. Others I'll meet hopefully at the WC or Chapter Business Summit that Judy mentioned. So I will see you in the circles. I'm excited for you, and I'm here for you. Never hesitate to pick up the phone and reach out to me. And I just really want to thank each of you ladies really quickly for your time and service. And for those of you watching, they are a great example of just what MPI can do, because I remember meeting each of them the first time, and now they're working in international circles and supporting MPI Global, not just the local chapter level. So Renee, thank you so much for all that you do for our chapters, not just the ones you locally manage, but the ones that you reach out to through these videos and the training opportunities. So thank you for supporting us and your insight. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Beth Chip, I just love you. It's been so great working with you. And although you don't work directly with MPI as much anymore, it just shows how much value that you must have gotten out of the experience, because yet you're still here working with us. We appreciate you, and thank you for all that you do for our leaders.
Thank you.
And then Miss Judy, thank you so much for moderating. For those of you who have seen your role-specific video, Judy's been on all of these. So, we're very excited for you and the things that you have coming. Judy has served on her board of directors for a while, and now she's going to be president-elect for our Chicago chapter. So yay, Chicago. We're excited for you, Judy. It's going to be a great opportunity, and we look forward to seeing you at some of the upcoming trainings. You're a living example of what MPI Global and MPI chapter leadership can do for you. So thank you. So
Thank you.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're all done. So everybody, thanks so much for watching. Ladies, it's been a pleasure. And chapter leaders, go rock your board. Thanks for watching.